Good morning, guys. We have a full day ahead of us today. First, we are gonna start by milking the goats. So I'm gonna go get that done, and then we will get on to the rest of what I have planned. This is the first night that I have let them go all night without being milked. I was milking twice a day, once in the morning and once at night. We've decided that it's not worth milking twice a day. We'll probably decrease the amount that we're getting, but we're okay with that because we're swimming in milk right now anyways. Okay, so let's see how much we got today. That's about 12 and a half cups, so a little bit less than the 15 cups that we were getting, but that is okay. So a lot of times we let our chickens free range, but we have a couple that love to get into my garden beds around the house, and they just make a huge mess of it. So I'm gonna grab the rake right now, and I'm gonna go clean that up because I know later I need to mow, and I don't wanna be mowing wood chips. Nate will kill me. I guess the rake's not out here. But I wanted to show you guys something kind of cool. So look at this. Do you guys see these grapevines that are completely surrounding this chicken run? They have just grown in so thick this year. I have pruned them, believe it or not, but they are heavens, just growing like crazy. And then if I can come in here without getting attacked, I'll show you something pretty cool. That guy right there likes to really kind of attack you. Oh, I don't know about him. You're scared. Go inside. Go. But look at these grapes, guys. Can you see? Can you see all of those grapes just hanging down in here? It is like the coolest thing ever. So anyways, maybe we will get a fantastic grape harvest this year, and I have a really cool kitchen gadget that helps me to process things like grapes, and I'll share that with you guys in another video. But anyways, I just wanted to show that to you. It's pretty cool. We didn't really plan it like that. We just planted those grapes there to help give the chickens some shade, but never imagined that it would be quite that beautiful. So anyways, I'm gonna get to work on these wood chips. And I thought I would share with you that some of our new chickens are actually laying, and so now we are starting to get some colorful eggs. I also need to trellis these before I get to my ones in the in-ground garden. So I'll show you just really quickly how I'm gonna do these. I'm not super thrilled with this method, but it's all that I have kind of set up for them right now. I don't have enough tomato cages, which really don't work either. But basically, you tie some baling twine to one of these posts here. And then I'm just basically measuring the distance that I'll need to go all the way down and all the way back. And I'll cut that. Okay, now I've got that. Okay, and then I'm just gonna weave. So this first tomato, because he's leaning a little forward, I'll go in front of him. And then the second tomato, I go behind. And then this guy, I will go in front of and behind and in front. And then I'll wrap it around this side. And I'll come back the opposite way that I just went through. So this guy has the baling twine in front of him. Now I'm gonna go behind him. And so essentially you're weaving this between your tomato plants to give them some support. It gets a little cumbersome, and you really have to keep up with this method if you're gonna do it, because if you let them get too big, it just becomes really difficult to get them supported well. So when you're growing tomatoes, especially down here in the south, we get really humid, and so tomatoes can get a lot of different types of diseases like blight and just all kinds of stuff. So I try to really heavily prune these guys so that they will be as productive as possible and maybe won't catch some of those diseases. But basically, as they get tall, I'm just tying them to the cattle panel. It's a really easy method, and the cattle panels really support them well. You can see down here at the base of my tomatoes, I have pruned them up about 18 to 24 inches. These Amish pastes are very, what I call wispy, and they like to grow down. You can kind of see like this particular leaf here, you know, they come off of the tomato plant and then they just want to grow down. I'll probably end up taking this branch off here. And then as I go through, I'm looking for suckers. So suckers are things that grow out of, like you can see that this is a branch, but then I have this piece that's kind of growing up and out at an angle. That's a sucker. So you're really looking, this is the start of a sucker right here. So you're kind of just looking for that main part of the tomato plant, and wherever you have a branch, if there's another piece kind of growing up between the main part of the tomato and the branch, that's typically going to be your sucker. What you don't want to trim off are these guys. So if you look and you see anything that looks like it's going to have a blossom on it, don't trim it off, because that will be your fruit. While I'm down at the garden, I'm also taking a look at my bean plants. I just want to see if they're setting any fruit. I can see the blossoms in a couple of them. I've seen, like, there's a tiny little bean right there. So I just want to keep an eye on these guys because they'll grow pretty quickly and they'll need to be harvested. Wow, I was not expecting there to be so many peppers on these plants here. These are banana peppers, and we just like to eat these fresh. They're not great for pickling. They don't hold up very well, but we do like to have these fresh, and also to fry up with some eggs in the morning. These are Cubanelle peppers, and they're really delicious too. They're a sweet pepper. This is a Marconi pepper. It has a little bit more of a truer pepper flavor than the Cubanelle, so a little bit stronger pepper flavor, but still a sweet pepper. I found a few little raspberries too. Last year I was in here and I had been down here in the morning and I hadn't had breakfast yet, and I was so hungry that I was in this little raspberry area and I was eating the raspberries and I just was putting them in my mouth, and I actually put one with a stink bug in my mouth, and it was the worst thing ever. So always just check your food before you put it in your mouth. So a lot of the raspberries that I have in here are called Heritage Red raspberries. This is actually a gold raspberry. I forget what the name of it is. I'll have to look it up. But these have the best flavor. If I could do it all over again, I would grow only the gold ones. These are delicious. It's so good. So we got a good little harvest. We got some beets and peppers. We actually got a tomato. We got our first 2 yesterday, just little cherry tomatoes. We also got some cucumbers, and the kids came down and helped me, and the kids also weeded our blueberry patch. So now I am going to go take a rest and sit down. And what I mean by sit down and relax is I'm actually gonna mow. It's gotta be done, and so we are gonna get that done. This mower is the closest thing that I have to a race car. It's pretty awesome, and pretty sure around some of these corners I actually drifted a little bit, so just saying. after a long, hard day of chores, I decided that I was pretty tired and I didn't want to do too much for dinner. So I decided that we were going to have some of our meals on the shelf, and all I need to do here is just make some biscuits to go along with that. So this is just a standard biscuit mix. It uses baking soda, flour, baking powder, and then here I'm using some goat milk, and I'm going to add some vinegar to that to sort of mimic like a buttermilk. And I'll add that in after I go ahead and cut in a bunch of butter. And then I actually learned a cool trick a long time ago. If you want to get those flaky biscuits like you would get out of a Grand's or a Pillsbury package from the grocery store, when you roll out your biscuit, you will want to roll it out and then flip the dough on top of itself and then fold it over again and then go ahead and roll it out again and then do that a third time. And that's going to create those flaky layers for you. Then once you've done that a couple of times, you roll it out to about a 1/4 inch thick and you use a biscuit cutter, and then those will be delicious and flaky. After I finished making those biscuits, I just placed them aside. My oven was preheating, and I thought that since we had so many blackberries coming in that I would make a blackberry cobbler for the kids. So I just pulled up a recipe online that had really good reviews. And so right now I'm sort of making the top to that cobbler. It uses flour and sugar and baking powder. And then also I'm going to mix up some cornstarch with some water and some sugar. And then I'm going to go ahead and toss my berries into that. And then I'll just drop spoonfuls of that topping on top. And because both of these things, the biscuits and the cobbler, bake at the same temperature, I'm just going to put them in my oven at the same time. And while those are baking, I will get our beef stew ready. So what I love about having these meals on the shelf is that after a long day like today, I don't have to take the time to peel potatoes and carrots and chop them up and saute beef and flour and then take all the time to sit it on the stove and wait for it to be done. This has already been done, and a great thing about this is that when it comes out of the can, it is actually better than if I had made it fresh. The meat is tender, the potatoes maintain their texture, nothing gets mushy. The only thing I have to do for this is simply heat it up and then make a slurry of flour and water to thicken that, since you can't can with flour. So I just go ahead and do that when I'm heating it up for dinner, and then we are ready to eat. It's super simple and super fast for these long days on the homestead. Once my biscuits were ready, I just got them in a bowl and got everything to the table, and we all ate our dinner. And while we were eating, the cobbler finished, and so we were able to pull that out of the oven, and it just looks absolutely delicious and it smells divine. After I made the cobbler, I realized that we had no ice cream, and I really wanted ice cream. And luckily the other night I had spent some time making some goat milk custard, and it all didn't fit into my ice cream machine that night. So I had a little left over, so that is what I am pouring into the ice cream maker here. And this took about 10 minutes and it was ready to go. Having an ice cream maker like this makes all the difference. It's super quick. And here I am just serving it up. Doesn't that look wonderful? And I guarantee it tastes delicious. I'm gonna go ahead and try some of this before the kids get inside and see what it tastes like. Oh man, is that good. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with me today. I hope you all got a really good view into what a day of chores looks like for me. Typically on Thursdays, I mow and I weed whack, and so that pretty much stays the same, but other things might be a little bit different. So anyways, guys, thank you so much for hanging out with me, and I hope you have a great rest of your evening. I know I am ready for bed, so shortly we will go to bed.